Hey there friends, it's Missy again. Thanks so much for stopping by today. I'm back with a new layout for the Paige Evans design team, and I'm going to be using Paige's Wonders collection, and I have been dying to use this pattern paper for so long. I'm finally going to do it. It's paper number 2, and it is these beautiful rainbow stripes, and I wanted to pair it up with one of Paige's cut files to make an interesting background design. So this is one of Paige's old cut files way back when she first started making them. I think it's been around for a while. It's called Wonky Plaid Background, and I think it's just so cool. I love that the lines are all uneven and messy and wonky, and so I just went ahead and cut it using my Silhouette Cameo, and I'm gonna somehow use it as a background. Now I'm not going to use the entire thing because there's so much of it and it's really busy, so I'm going to cut a big crooked chunk of it to start with, and I'm going to attach this to some smooth thick white cardstock. That's the Marshmallow from Basil. I love that cardstock for all of my mixed media messy backgrounds, and this is just going to sort of start the process of my background. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do from here. I just knew that I wanted to do this for my background. So I'm going to take some time to add a little bit of glue. This was a tricky part. It took a little bit, but yeah, I got my glue on there, and I'm going to attach it over to the left side, and we're going to see where this goes. Now I do want the edges of where I cut this paper to be kind of uneven and torn and, you know, a little bit dimensional because I like the whole uneven look. And I'm going to go ahead and prep the paper for the mixed media, and I'm using clear gesso. This is the Finnabair Art Basics, and I love it. It's smooth, dries pretty quickly, and I'm using a 2-inch silicone brush there, but you could use anything to scrape it on. As long as it gets on there, that's all that matters. I'm also going to add some on top of the rainbow paper, because I know how I work, and chances are I'm going to wind up adding mixed media on top of that as well. So I'm going to go ahead and prep it. And the gesso is just going to allow me to add lots of watercolor and allow it to blend and spread. And here's the photo I'm using. Look at my face. What am I doing? This is like the dorkiest face I think I could possibly make. Yeah, we'll talk about the photo later, but that is the photo that we're going to scrap. So I want to just get started on this background here. So I pulled out some of my favorite shimmers that match this paper pretty well. And I'm starting with 2 blue shimmers and a clogged bottle. I couldn't get any out of that one. The first blue that I used is called Deep Blue Sea, and it's a Vibes. And then I tried to use Jenny B Blue, which is also a Vibes, which is actually my favorite Shimmers blue color of all time. And my bottle is clogged, so I need to go run it under some warm water to unclog it. But I just took the lid off and splattered some down. And then I'm just using a brush with some water to kind of start the process of the watercolor look. I kind of already know where the photo is going to go, but I just wanted to get some color down, a few different colors, and try to blend them together. The green color that I'm using is a Vibes, and it's called Elfin Magic, and it's actually got some gold powders mixed in. So when that color dries, it's got a little bit of a gold shimmer to it. So I'm trying to get a little bit of blue kind of down below where the photo is going to go, and then a little bit of green. And I just like to start with a little bit and then keep working in the layers of the colors. Sometimes I'll dab it up. Sometimes I will just let it air dry. And that always just depends on what I'm doing. You know, sometimes if you let it air dry, it's going to dry darker. And if you dab it up right away, it's going to look a little bit lighter. And that is the great part, or the great thing about gesso, is it gives you time to do that, you know? I could dab all of this up pretty much right now, and you would barely even be able to see it, because the gesso allows everything to kind of sit on top of the paper before it dries and soaks through, and I love that. All right, so I told you I was probably going to do some some shimmers on top of the paper, and so I went ahead and did that. I pulled out a couple of other colors. I'm using Vibes Mustard Seed, which was that orangey, well, it's not orange, it's more of like a golden yellow color. Mixed it with a little bit of Vibes Pop Art Pink to create more of an orangey effect. And here I go, grabbing more colors. This is Spritz Cotton Candy. That's the pink color. And I'm kind of doing a little bit of tone on tone and then kind of not. Like the green and blue are not necessarily on the same level as the green and blue in the paper, but I tried to do the yellow and the pink kind of on the yellow and the pink sections of the paper. So some of this may, you know, be a little bit of color on color, and then it's going to wind up being to where all the colors are everywhere as this layout progresses. But I'm liking how it's looking so far. Over there on the right, I've got a ton of the floral die cuts from Wonders. And if you have those or you've seen them, they are huge. I mean, these flowers are, some of them are almost as big as the palm of my hand, you know. So I want to use some of those because I think I've only used a couple of those one time. So I have a lot, and they're all the rainbow colors. So I want to try to incorporate them onto this page since I've got all the rainbow colors going. I did some splattering with the nozzles of these shimmers, and again, I'm dabbing some of it up if I want to make it lighter, bring out the brush to kind of bring some of the color down and fade it out so it gets a little bit lighter as it goes either, you know, down or to the outer edges of the shape of where all the color is. And we're going to keep on going. Up at the top, obviously I have more of a red color. I'm not a huge red fan, so I didn't want to use a red shimmers. So this is kind of a pinkish red shimmers. It's called Ruby, and it's a spritz. It's definitely pink, but it's I would call it more on the red side. And so I wanted just a hint of that at the very top. And I do use a couple of red elements on this layout. Now this is also a shimmers. It's a different form of shimmers. It's in a little pot, and it's an Inklings, and it's called Me in Blue. And it's the perfect color to match that light blue in the rainbow there. I don't have an actual spray that color, so I pulled out the little pot, and it's going to dry with a really pretty shimmery effect. And then I decided to come on down with some purple, and that is another spray. It's a Vibes called Princess, one of my favorite purples. And then we're going to go back up to the top there with the cotton candy. No, yes, the cotton candy. I got a lot of colors out here. But yeah, I'm liking how this is looking, and it's going to look totally different once everything's back on top. Here you can see the different effects of all the finishes with the shimmers. They're so pretty and shiny and sparkly. All right, I'm going to leave the background alone at this point and start to work on my layers. So the first layer I always like to use behind my photos is some tissue paper, and this is nothing fancy. It's just regular gift wrap tissue paper, and I know it's very subtle and you can't even really see it, but it makes a difference. I think it gives a little bit of a messy, torn layer around the photo, and it just kind of adds another element of detail and helps the photo kind of stand out. And that's one reason, or another reason why I printed this photo in black and white, because I wanted it to stand out against all these rainbow colors and not have a bunch of colors in the photo to compete with all of these other colors. All I'm doing now is playing around with all those giant flowers. There's several different styles of flowers and leaves, and we're just going to start to tuck them around and in and under the photo and see what may look good where. Yeah, so, you know, I can use pretty much anything on this layout because all the colors are there. I'm not looking for anything in a specific color, just looking for things that will spark an idea and, you know, help me to decide on what to use. But I'm liking how this is looking so far. I'm liking all of these flowers and all the colors. I used the pink and the orange flower over to the right because I have green and blue on the background. So I'm looking for something in other colors to kind of help that stand out. Now, if I was going to do true tone on tone, I would have done something green on top of the green watercolor and something blue on top of the blue, but I decided to do just some contrasting things and spread all the colors around. I'm pulling in some threads here. I've got all the rainbow colors of thread, and so I'm just going to cut some of that, tuck it in a couple places, and this just adds texture. It adds pops of color. I don't know, I'm just obsessed with adding thread to my layouts, and I still can't give a reason why. I just like how it looks. So I pulled out the ephemera die cuts from the Wonders collection, and we're going to use a couple of those things. I'm going to use this little journaling piece with the tab kind of as a layer behind the photo. And then I have some of those banner stickers. Yeah, just kind of playing around with everything. If you're going through all the collection of all the things and you think there's a chance you might use it, you know, pull it out so you can move it around the page, and something that you thought you may not use, it may wind up working for a particular layout. So you never know until you try to move it around and put it here, put it there, see what it looks like. I've surprised myself many times by doing that. So, you know, never discount a die cut or a sticker, because you never know. I'm using Scotch tacky glue in that bottle. It does not come in that bottle. The bottle comes empty. The bottle is called a fine liner bottle, and you can find those in a 2-pack on Amazon. They're not expensive at all. Love that bottle. I've used it for a couple years now, and it has not clogged yet. So it's awesome. I'm making a little banner here from the puffy stickers, and I'm sticking it onto some white cardstock, and then I'm going to cut it out so it's one piece, and I want to use this as a little border underneath the photo here. And this was surprisingly really cute. I like how this turned out. And again, it's got all the colors, and I tried to put them in order to mix the colors up to where, like, the first scallop is yellow and it's against the blue flower, so it stands out. And then here's something I did. I wind up not even using any of these, but I cut all these little hearts out from this die cut because I thought I might scatter them around the page in some way. And so I do take the time to cut all of these out, but I wind up not using them. I do try a couple times to make them work, but they're there if I do decide. I pulled this little heart off of one of the Lolly stickers. Those are those round dimensional stickers with the crepe paper. But I just pulled the heart off, thought I might use that somewhere. And then I'm going to cut this little Love You banner piece to use somewhere. I wind up sticking it right there on that little tab from that larger die cut that I used. And then I'm going to go through the 6x12 cardstock stickers, and I found this flower, and I don't want it to be a sticker. I want it to be a die cut so I can move it around. And so that's super easy to do. You just stick it to some paper and then cut it out, and then instantly your sticker becomes a die cut. So I'm going to try to add a little bit of flower action above the photo, not too much. I don't want to cover up too much more of that plaid background, and then where I added all of the color with the shimmers. This is a journaling piece from the ephemera die cuts that I just tore in half, roughed up the edges using my little edge distresser tool there, and I'm going to use that as a layer and then start to glue those little pieces down. And then I was looking for some small flowers because, like I said, in that floral die cut pack, the flowers are enormous. So I found this little tag on paper number 12 that has some smaller flowers, and so I'm going to fussy cut those out and use those. And I found that when you mix really big things with really small things, it just creates lots of scale, and it makes it easier to tuck those little tiny pieces in here or there, because the big pieces, you know, they take up a lot of space. And so at some point in the design process, I am through with really big things and I'm just looking for tiny things. And so those little flowers were perfect for this. And here we come back in with the thread. Before this layout is said and done, I'm going to have a lot of thread going on. So yeah, we're going to tuck more thread. This is the pink color, I think, again. No, that's orange. It's hard to tell from here. It's either pink or orange. I think it's orange. But I was looking for a color that would contrast against the blue. So, and I do try to add little dabs of glue to the thread, the pieces that are kind of looped out, or the little end pieces, so they will stay where I want them to go. And now here's part of the layout that I honestly did not even want to do in the beginning. And now that I did it, I'm so glad that I did, because I feel like it just finishes the whole page. I was going to leave the whole right side of this layout solid white, but then I took the remainder of the plaid cut file paper and thought, what if I kind of ran it off the page on the right side? Would that be too busy? And then I just decided to do it. And the colors are not matched up because I didn't want to do it all the way from the top to the bottom. I wanted it to be kind of wonky and crooked. So the colors do not even up with the colors on the left side. But I just do the same thing. I add the glue, stick it down, ruffle up the edges, and I think in the end it was the right decision, because I feel like it just balances the whole thing out. And so what I'm going to wind up doing is using more of those flowers to create another cluster kind of running off the page. So I'm going through what I have left of the flowers, trying to find things in all the colors. And this is kind of what I settled on, and I actually really like it, even though these flowers are really big. And I tend to struggle with embellishments that are big like this, but I feel like this works. I know that this is really busy. There's a lot of things going on, but I made sure to leave lots of open white space. And that's just something that I feel like I like to do on my layouts, because when there's a lot of color, a lot of pattern, and a lot of busy things happening, I feel like leaving some empty open space of just plain white or whatever color the background may be, it just gives some resting, some calmness to the viewing process. Does that make sense? It just kind of breaks things up. When everything else is so busy, it kind of balances it out and gives you some calm place to look. That makes sense in my brain. But I did add a little bit more of the purple down here, and that's the Vibes Princess that I used earlier. And so, yeah, I just decided to do a little bit more of that, since the whole flower theme is connecting over there to the right. I wanted to continue the watercolor on the background over there. And I'm liking how this is looking. It definitely looks different than the idea that I started with. And, you know, that's usually how it winds up with me. And I'm usually pleased with the end result. And I'm thinking, I'm glad I tried that, you know? And it just, I don't know, it just happens that way a lot of times, to where you never really know unless you try something. And, you know, you may like it, you may not like it. But I worked on this layout over the course of about 3 days. So I find it very beneficial to do a little bit and then take a break, you know? Don't even come back for a couple hours. And then when you look at it the next time, you may get a new idea, or you may see something you want to change or something you want to add. And this is why I'm so slow and why it takes me forever to finish a layout, because I can't ever rush it. I don't know. I just have to take time and make it work. I don't know. I can't rush it. But yeah, so we've got the flowers. I've got some of the small ones again that I cut from that tag paper. Some of these over here I'm going to pop up using some adhesive foam. That's what I'm using there. And that's just kids craft foam that I find in Walmart in the craft aisle. It's nothing special, but it's perfect for scrapbooking, I think. Going to add a little bit more thread in. I told you, more thread. Here we go. This is blue that I'm going to mix in with some of the green down there under that pink flower. And then I'm going to add some purple. I hadn't even pulled purple thread out to begin with, but I'm going to add a little bit of purple kind of underneath the photo, right where that orange flower is. And it's very subtle. It doesn't really clash with the green, but I just wanted a different color there. And I felt like I had a couple of purple things going around, because I got a purple flower above the photo, and then a purple flower in the bottom cluster, and then some purple over to the left in the pattern paper. So I thought, well, let's make a couple more purple sections and go from there. And I do use the one big heart that I pulled off of that lolly sticker, and here's where I try to scatter some of those little hearts around, but I felt like they weren't really needed, and they just kind of made the layout busier than it needed to be. I just couldn't make those work, so I'm going to save those for another layout in the future. And so now what I'm trying to do is figure out a title, which in this case I could not for the life of me figure out what I wanted to use, so I had to take a break and then come back, and I decided to do some mixing and matching. And I at first tried to use this puffy phrase sticker that says fantastic, and I used my ruler because I stuck it down straight horizontally across, and it did not look good because my photo is tilted. And so I stuck it down and I thought, that doesn't look right. So I took it off camera and then tilted it to match the tilt of the photo, and I like that much better. And the yellow, it's hard to see here in these bright lights, but the yellow really stands out against the blue. And I'm going to mix and match here, like I said. So we're going to use fantastic, and then I'm going to create the word funny using these little alpha stickers. These are from the 8-page sticker book, but you can't really see them against that blue. So I'm going to basically create a die cut, and I'm going to put the word funny in multiple colors here on some white cardstock, and then cut it out so it's one word. And it turns out so cute. I think this is a great idea if you're going to use these little stickers on top of a colored background, because they're kind of clear stickers, meaning they're colored but you can still see through them, and they look too dark against that blue watercolor, so I wanted them to stand out. So yeah, I think that turned out really cute. Easy to do. Just put it down there, cut it out, and then gonna pop it up with some adhesive foam there to give it some dimension. And then I'm gonna look for another word. I couldn't figure out. I tried to use some of these giant thickers, and I was gonna do fantastic funny day, and I couldn't get the colors right. I don't know, I just could not make it work. So I played around with those for a little while in different color schemes. I wanted the word to be in one color, but I could not get all 3 letters in one color. And it was bugging me because I wanted day to be in one color. Couldn't make it work. Said, you know what, forget that. I went back to pattern paper number 12 and found this green adventures paper. And I thought, that's perfect. Fantastic, funny adventures. So that's what we're going to do for the title. And this photo, we were acting so goofy. It was my birthday, and we went to Gainesville, which is where we both went to college back in the day. And we went there for the weekend to walk around campus and just do some fun things that we hadn't done since we were in college. And we went to eat a nice dinner at a restaurant, and then at the end we went to go to the bathroom, and there was only one, so you had to share it. So we both went in there together. We were just washing our hands, but my sister texted me while we were in there, and she's like, what are y'all doing? How's the date going? And so I said, oh, let's take a goofy selfie to send to her. And so he squatted down like he was using the toilet. So in case you're wondering, that is a toilet there, but we have our clothes on. No one's actually using the toilet, but yeah, we were just being dorky. And I made this face, and I'm actually kind of tired of looking at it because it's so ridiculous. But anyway, yeah, it was a fantastic, funny adventure, and it makes me laugh when I think about it because, you know, usually you don't go into a public bathroom in a restaurant with your husband. You know, you go to the girls and he goes to the boys, and that's it. But yeah, it was funny. And then when we came out, we were laughing, and there was another woman who wanted to use the bathroom, so she looked at us like we were crazy, and I was like, oh, it's time to get out of here now. But anyway, that's the story behind the picture. Got everything glued down, got the title done. I added some more thread down there, and then I'm going to go in with some white acrylic paint, splatter that around just because I love how that looks against all those colors. And then we're going to add the journaling. I'm using my T-square ruler there again to add the lines, and then I'm going to use my black fine tip Sharpie to add the journaling, and that's it. Finally, this movie length video is over, but I love how this turned out. I know it's busy, I know it's loud and bright, but I think it works. And like I said, I like how it balances out with the open white space. It really helps to just kind of draw your eye to the photo and all the colors, but then you have some open space to kind of let everything breathe, you know? But here are all the close-ups. I took a bunch of them. You can see all the threads, all of the details. I did add glue behind the word fantastic because things tend to not want to stick to gesso, so I did add glue behind those. But yeah, these flowers are so fun. I was kind of intimidated by them at first because they are so big, but I finally used them, and I think they are really pretty, and I love how it turned out. But I hope this gives you some ideas to try, some inspiration for a layout. Yeah, let me know if you have any questions. I'll link everything down below that I used on this layout. And thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a great week, and I will see you next time.